dwell in each and every one of us, that we will be able to have the inspiration to deal with the issues at hand, and that there will be clarity as we go through all the complications that we faced with on a day-to-day basis. We continue to ask that you grant each and every one of us the spirit of forbearance, the spirit of forgiveness, and the spirit to be able to own up when we are wrong, and the spirit to be able to give the person his own due when he is right. And so we ask, as we continue to hear from different testimonies, that the people who will come here will be truthful enough to speak the truth, and so that the commissioners, you will grant them the spirit to be able to discern between truth and falsehood. And we continue to ask that you will guide this commission for the satisfaction of all the people in this land. So at the end of the day, each and every one will be winners, and none will be disappointed. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bishop. Council, are we ready for this morning's witness?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and members of the audience. Sagar Thomas Jahase will lead the next witness, who's presently within the premises. So over to you, Sagar.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, commissioners, and good morning, members of the audience. We are ready to proceed. Mr. Usher, can you kindly get the witness? Thank you. Interpreters, please take note that the witness will be speaking in the Mandinka language. Can the witness be upstanding, please?
I, Omar Fofana.
Nde Omar Fofana.
I, Omar Fofana.
Nte Omar Fofana.
Nte Omar Fofana.
Do swear that.
Mbekali lako.
I'll speak the truth.
Mbetonya le fola.
Mbetonya kumola fola.
The whole truth.
Tonya dama.
Ngamalong tonya to.
And nothing but the truth.
Adunte fem fola me manke tonya.
Dekuma fola me manke tonya kam.
So help me God.
Woto alama ale ndema.
Alama ale somanta bana koko.
Amen.
Akosi ona.
Good morning, Mr. Fofana.
Sama, Mr. Fofana.
No.
On behalf of the Commission, I wish to welcome you.
Commission Toya, Lambe Bismillah, TRRC.
And also, I wish to thank you for agreeing to testify this morning. As you know, my name is Sagar. We have already been introduced. And I will be the counsel asking you questions today on behalf of the commissioners. During the meeting we had earlier on, I have already gone through the rules and regulations that we have here at the TRRC. And there really is no need to repeat them. But kindly keep them in mind as we sail through your testimony. The main obligation you have before the TRRC is to say the truth. As your testimony is on oath. You will be giving testimony today on behalf of your brother, Imam Bakausu Fofana, and we will be covering the following topics. We will want to know some background information on you as well as Bakausu. We would also like to have an idea of the harassment or persecution, arrest, detention, and torture of your brother. And we would like you to explain in what context these human rights violations occurred. You will also talk about your own personal victimization in various events. To conclude, the commissioners will ask you questions. And that is after I have finished asking you all the questions that I have. And you will be given an opportunity to make your final remarks. And since you're speaking in the Mandinka language, I would urge you to listen carefully to my questions. Wait for the interpretation of my question from English to Mandinka. Before you respond in Mandinka. Thereafter, I will also have to wait for the interpretation from Mandinka to English. Make your statements brief so that the interpreters can follow you properly. I hope you have understood everything I have explained this morning.
Yes, I understand.
Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, I'm ready.
Kindly give me your full names.
The Omar Fofana.
My name is Omar Fofana.
Where do you live?
I live at Sanchaba Sulejub.
And where is Sanchaba Sulejub located?
Sanchaba Sulejub,
it is part of Sukuta, just behind their primary school.
When and where were you born?
I was born in Kiang, but our original home is at Jara Sankuya.
And when were you born?
1976.
It was in 1976.
Do you recall the precise date?
January or February.
Well, it might be in January or February.
And what is your occupation?
I am a student.
What kind of student?
Well, I did Quranic schooling, and the type of schooling is the local Quranic schooling in the villages.
And apart from being an Islamic student, do you do any other kind of work?
Ninga bora talibe ala foi ka dogu kodan dol kele ba.
Birambora talbe aga ngamoto boro fonake.
After I completed my Islamic schooling, I became a driver.
And are you still driving?
Hanin ka be ben tembe da men do hansa be driving nala ba be moro boron dolal ba.
O bulala murra talbe ya wala mun tolla si wala mbe wolto.
I stopped driving. I went back to my former trade because we've always been Islamic scholars.
And that is what you do now?
An sign da ika wala ke.
Wala.
Yes, that's what I'm doing now.
Imam Bakausu Fofana is your brother, is that correct?
Bakausu Fofana iko to malam fo tonyala.
Ankoro malam.
Yes, he is my elder brother.
And do you share the same mother and father?
Foi na den da bakilim fakil ni la ba.
De bakilim fakili.
Yes, we are all from the same mother and father.
And is he the eldest member of your family or not?
Allah dimba Allah family to je fa atelam cheba di ba.
No kotoma be jele bar musolo mori chewlo ko na atelam cheba di.
Yes, well, how it went is that he has an elder sister, but the female, the males of our family, he is the elder brother.
And what occupation does he do?
Ate dunga ta mundo ko fa sonne ke.
Bakausu atamu imamolti amu ustasoti karamol babulu tafijo babulu.
Bakausu is an imam. He has schools and he is an Islamic scholar and he is an Islamic teacher too.
And what mosques is he imam of?
Aka jaman juma ka sa almamu di jaman jumal to.
Jaman fulaka wala almam ya.
He is the imam of 2 different mosques.
And apart from being imam of the mosque, of these 2 different mosques, can you tell us if he does any other activity or performs any other role?
Ning abota ka ke ning jaman fulo la almamulti. Fo isa fo no nyefo ning abota wala fa ka ku do be jele fana mi alon ka da bula kono ma ka do ku sifa do kele ba.
Sukuta Arab school babulo to fanato.
Traffic light. He has an Arabic school at Sukuta around traffic lights.
Does he perform other religious activities?
Fo akadino la karola ka mamman ka fanna dol fana na ba.
O fana kola ka kawando ka conference ka karaga molda ani niya kulliya sore niya kumala sina kawando la je.
Well, he does preaching. He attends Gamos and preaches at Gamos. He attends Islamic conferences where he also preaches. If you have a naming ceremony and inform him, he will come and preach at the naming ceremony.
Can you tell us what mosques he's imam of?
Fo isa fo ni jaman jumal le almamu mati.
La jaman fulo wala membala so kono.
The first mosque is the one he built in his compound.
And the second one?
Fulan jangodum.
Sukuta nema tubabo le jaman ala keno do boro tubabo le jaman lo ata moto fana almamoti.
At Sukuta Nema, he had a plot there where a friend, a white man, decided to build a mosque for him there. He is also the imam at that second mosque too.
Did you mention the location of that mosque?
O jama laba onying fo yala dingira ni ya fo ba.
Ni da subra saro kon la sarkera silo silaba man tara fundi la kunda sabi jala highway kan e ka fadam the first caras.
Well, the place is called First Garas at Sukuta Nema. If you take the road leading to Latikula Sabiji, on the main road there is a place called First Garas. The mosque is around there.
Thank you for that information.
Kibaro.
Would you say your brother had any influence on Islamic religious affairs here in the Gambia?
Silang ikoto ma Bakausu Fofana fo ilafta fola le ko ay kamol sodal ban kamol sondi kula waranto kamol sondi kula dino la karola ban kay banko kanjang
Bakausu ka ala nen kila la kumolo ho sa tuta membulo ko ala fa man sa fali yumna man sa fali yaghfiru nadiata me ke muslimo nadiata me ke kafir.
Can you take your statements in very short bits because the interpreter needs to interpret. Mr. Interpreter?
Well, he said Bakausu's job is to inform and educate people about Allah's ways. It's left to the people. If you want to become a Muslim, you can be a Muslim. If you want to become a Christian or any other religion, it's left to you. But his job is to educate people in the Islamic way.
Yes, Mr. Interpreter, I just want to remind you, just to avoid statements overlapping, kindly just listen to me and let me complete my question before you interpret. Otherwise, our statements keep overlapping. Thank you very much. My question was whether you believe, in your opinion, Bakausu was influential in religious affairs, and if so, how influential was he?
Ninga tra ila wala ko akamol kachandino akamol sondino dino la karo ni naka o ka keno nyaadi le
aka kumolo fo me yalon ko na kumo fo e sonno mo kata me yalon ko e lafta nin kilala.
Yes, because in that way he has been doing that, talking to people. That's what made him influential. And what he always says, he says it with humility. If you want, you can accept what he's telling you. It's left to you to accept whatever you want.
And how many followers did he have?
Kanunte jellal babul men katra bular kan noma
ba kausula kanunto dunia dawda ala kanunto be Gambia dawda ala kanunto be tara dawda ni fura ni ba kausula ka ko jammole le akanu jammole.
Ba Kausu has followers at many places, I can say in the whole world, because wherever you go with Bakausu, if his followers come out, you will think that he was born at this place. That's the type of person he is.
What are the main areas here in the Gambia where he had a huge following?
Banko kan jam fanna jumala soro me alon ko ay jama soro woldo kanunte jamal soro me alon ko nata dije akab mo soro bake.
O jam ko nga fo nyam kan mo hanin tol fani na ana be moto fonkono e fonka longo ni la moto ne nyam ba ko sula moto fambe tambe dawda molka kumande kan moto lo ne bukalon da ko nga fo bukalon dumala kan dumala makan.
Well, as I said, Bakausu is a person whereby even if he boards his vehicle, when I am traveling with him, wherever he goes, people will wave and call to him. And if he stops, the people will come and surround the vehicle. You will not know who the end or the beginning of the followers. And you will not even understand those who like him and those who don't like him. But everybody converges on him.
Was there any controversy surrounding some of his religious views or practices?
Fonyolo bejele bang coming ala dino la batu nyato bango kan jambang.
Sankama moto mo bak.
Ka fonyo ko ala dino ataka dino batu nyamen ani mol ka muta nyamen. Fo ani modol tal farata la bang.
Okay, comme bango kan jam mol la miro Kenya farata.
Well, just like in the country here, people have different ways of thinking. Ba
dolbe jang isi fan ko ne tolum salafiyol dol sa sunni dol sa ko tolum ahlus sunnah jama dol sa ko tolum sufiyol.
Well, in the country here you have many Muslim sects. Some will say they are Sufis, some will say they are ahlus sunnah, some will say they are from the Sunnah sect, some will say they are from the Sufi sect. So it's a diverse thing.
And amongst these different sects, would you say there is conflicts in religious belief, or was there harmony within different sects?
For signing fanal bela imin be for them. For he left ba for ko nyomoy balia katara mol dam malte ma ni fanal la bang. For ba for ko fo nyomoy obeje le bang.
Fanal fem mobe ko men yalan ko ba kawsu kanu bari karo dolel wuta men yalan ko wali kilo wul ba kawsu kamma. Kon ko mobe bu kam mo kanno.
Well, not everybody likes a person, but Bakausu, in any of these sects, he has very good people and friends amongst them. But there are also other people who hate him from some of these sects, and in fact some of them have got up at one time to fight him.
And who are these people you're referring to?
Jumalem nyimoldi be men lak mo foka.
Wala mod men kam la ko banko kan Gambia Islam Council ni ay ba ko fambara banko ka sabu bokata wollel.
Well, I will give an example like the Supreme Islamic Council, because in fact, Bakausu, the reason for him to leave the Gambia and go and live outside is because of that Supreme Islamic Council.
Can you just give us some background into what issues he had with the Supreme Islamic Council?
Fo isi fondama do dino na lebang. Meya dalilo meya sabu aning Supreme Islamic Council mambenno.
Wala muta ko nga fo nyama ba Bakausu kawondo na ya fo molke la mo ba ka walio starta nin karola ko wala.
Well, Bakausu is somebody when he preaches people listen, but the difference that came between him and the Supreme Islamic Council is about the sighting of the moon.
Were there any other differences apart from that one?
Saying ninga bota wala fodo kudo fana bejele mi alon ko ani mol manyo moy no wala ba ninga bota kari ko wala ba
bra na boro kar ko la ko wala ani mole nyomo ko bela.
Apart from the sighting of the moon, Bakausu has no other problems with other people.
And can you specifically tell us what these differences were about the sighting of the moon? Just give us a brief explanation so we can understand.
Fo isi je fatam fansi no mole bani akumala sutiya kan wala nyindi ni karola en ku jube mune famu dalilo famoti me asabati ni mol manyo moy no wala karola ko to
so comme dalta men na dino ndronga men jije.
Just like as what we are used to in Islam, what we have been taught in Islam, what the Holy Prophet advised and left with us, you can look for the moon on the 29th day of the lunar month. If you don't sight the moon on that day, then you go forward, you continue. But if you happen to sight the moon on the 29th day of the lunar calendar, and it happens to be Ramadan, you have to cut your fast and pray. That's what we've seen, and that's what we found our elders doing.
So because beloro wala ka ko dunia beta sunno la donkil dunia beta salno to ko dunia be ko be salno donkil be sal donkil bakas ka ta kenol.
Well, that's what Bakausu is following. He said not everybody can pray on the same day, and that's what Bakausu is following. But the others that are in contention with him, they wanted the whole world to pray on the same day.
And can you tell us, in relation to the Gambia, how the Supreme Islamic Council would enforce such a statement, as in that people should pray on the same day?
Silang, sina nina randol la Gambia banko kanjang. Supreme Islamic Council ila karola. Itol ka ukuoni ka tamani nyadi la puri aje ko mobe sali nyola. Akuma kan ro ni kam kuma kan nyimu men findindi ka tamani nyadi la ka aje ko mobe sali nyola lungili wala.
Itol ko tamani nyame nin Gambia be talan saba ko ne sa kankula wala talan nan ko sama be kala saloti wala sama be kala sunra atan to la janti lo fa mum boy ko ba ko ta kenola.
Well, here, as far as sometimes when the day is around 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 p.m., when it's announced from other countries, Bakausu will they want us to pray on that day, but Bakausu said that's impossible. As far as it is around 3 p.m. here, the sun has not set. You have not sighted the moon. So how can you say that you are going to pray on the following day when the sun has not yet set for you to look for the moon?
So what you're saying in essence is that once the Supreme Islamic Council announced a particular day for the prayer, if it was not consistent with the sighting of the moon here in the Gambia, Bakausu would not follow that particular direction to pray on that day.
Ramunda ikamunda ila kafta fakamemfa wala mindiko ning ayadra Supreme Islamic Council e kankularo ke Gambia banko kanjang purus
compound. By that time Bakausu had gone to the provinces. He was not at home. I was the person who was at home, and the letter was handed over to me.
Please proceed.
Tenteng.
So a letter dina mena kafa lamin dabo jaran ko lama ko sidia sise alma yam fakala bandal sai ako wole letter dia ko talni Arab school ko en letter ya di ba kausula.
Well, the letter was delivered by a man called Lamin Sise, and he said there was somebody teaching at the Talinding Islamic School called Sidia Sise. He said that Sidia Sise is the person who gave him that letter to bring for Bakausu.
And can you tell us what this letter was about?
Ni letter roninga muna be fudu nga kono faisa fono nyelba.
Letter on inte mayele because one letter on ngamu tara fobiri Bakausu nada after letter on na 3 days Bakausu na nga letter dial.
Well, the letter didn't come for me. This is why I didn't open it. It was brought for Bakausu. So this is why I kept the letter until 3 days later Bakausu returned. Then I handed the letter to him. After he read the letter, he told me that I have been invited by the Supreme Islamic Council. They said they want me to go and see them.
Then
he told me, I want to go with you there.
And that is what led to this meeting which we just spoke about.
Yes, the meeting came about because of that letter.
Did Bakausu, you mentioned already that he asked you to go with him. Were any other people, did any other people go with him?
Yes, some people joined us because Bakausu believes in traveling with other people on such matters.
Please tell us who joined you.
Mito nyina ko ya kono dete ne ba ko sene ya fili ne ma kono fa don de moment bulala be sa burun tolni men dara ala kafu nyodo be sara kulola ma to fan bara kondo mo sisen tol ka fa ne sise.
Well, someone joined us and his surname is Sise Esrahuleman. But how we were informed about the meeting and how the meeting was held, well, it looks like the
fuufa yi nga xam ne ci biir néeg bi duma ko wax kenn nag.
indil leen lii xew ci cabinet yi lii xew ci ronlal yi ak fu ne nag si mama dellu si waat ak moom mu ne am na xaar wax xuuxa yeeg yu.
rahim maliki yawmi ddin iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdina siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin ربنا إننا آمنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وقنا عذاب النار الصابرين والصادقين والقانتين والمنفقين والمستغفرين بالإسخار شهد الله أنه لا إله وملائكته وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط لا إله إلا هو العزيز الحكيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
Amen. Shukran, Imam Jallo. Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Lord God Almighty, we continue to ask for your grace to indwell in each and every one of us, that we will be able to have the inspiration to deal with the issues at hand, and that there will be clarity as we go through all the complications that we faced with on a day-to-day basis. We continue to ask that you grant each and every one of us the spirit of forbearance, the spirit of forgiveness, and the spirit to be able to own up when we are wrong, and the spirit to be able to give the person his own due when he is right. And so we ask, as we continue to hear from different testimonies, that the people who will come here will be truthful enough to speak the truth, and so that the commissioners, you will grant them the spirit to be able to discern between truth and falsehood. And we continue to ask that you will guide this commission for the satisfaction of all the people in this land. So at the end of the day, each and every one will be winners, and none will be disappointed. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bishop. Council, are we ready for this morning's witness?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and members of the audience. Sagar Thomas Jahase will lead the next witness, who is presently within the premises. So over to you, Sagar.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, commissioners, and good morning, members of the audience. We are ready to proceed. Mr. Usher, can you kindly get the witness? Thank you. Interpreters, please take note that the witness will be speaking in the Mandinka language. Can the witness be upstanding, please?
I, Omar Fofana.
Nde Omar Fofana.
I, Omar Fofana.
Nte Omar Fofana.
Nte Omar Fofana.
Do swear that.
Mbekali lako.
I'll speak the truth.
Mbetonya le fola.
The whole truth.
Tonya dama.
Ngamalong tonya to.
and nothing but the truth.
Adunte fem fola me manke tonya.
Kuma fola me man tonya kam.
So help me God.
Woto alama ale ndema.
Alama ale so manta bana koko.
Good morning, Mr. Fofana.
Sama, Mr. Fofana.
On behalf of the Commission, I wish to welcome you.
Commission Toya, Lambe Bismillah, TRRC.
And also, I wish to thank you for agreeing to testify this morning. As you know, my name is Sagar. We have already been introduced. And I will be the counsel asking you questions today on behalf of the commissioners. During the meeting we had earlier on, I have already gone through the rules and regulations that we have here at the TRRC. And there really is no need to repeat them. But kindly keep them in mind as we sail through your testimony. The main obligation you have before the TRRC is to say the truth. As your testimony is on oath. You will be giving
Sentiment show ci Gambian Talents TV.
Xew-xew bu rëy lu neex a neex te xumbate dagan di sentiment show nag ma ànd ko ak Pa Ousmane Diop.
Dama ne lii dina bu ndox pataas be teppeeku laa wax ma yàggaleen koo wax bépp góori Gambien bu jonge man nga pirate man Pa Ousmane Diouf indil leen sentiments nag ay at ngeen di ko laajte taay yépp maag Jallow Jerry
dinaa ñëw ak suma ay cuuraay ñëw ak suma ay nemmale ñëw ma ak suma ay xarba fuufa yi nga xam ne ci biir néeg bi duma ko wax kenn nag.
indil leen lii xew ci cabinet yi lii xew ci ron lal yi ak fu ne nag si mama de
jardo bara je kene balmare ka fay balo aka you know balo da kalaba.
There was one of the soldiers there from their village called Balo. The president went on to tell Bakausu that, do you know Balo da Kalaba, which means Balo with the big mouth? Go and ask Balo who is Yaya Jammeh. Balo was an ex-soldier. He told Bakausu that you don't know me, but Balo knows me. There were some soldiers standing behind him. He told them, nobody looks low on me, even in the traffic. Do you know me? The reason why I became a soldier, he even narrated the reasons why he became a soldier. He said initially he wanted to go and become a doctor. But at Denton Bridge, a lady was made to disembark from a car. He said that woman is a beautiful woman. He said in those days I don't trust the police. So when I saw them harassing this woman, I decided to intervene. This is how the police knew me, and they released the woman because of my intervention, and the woman left. So he said with that incident that he saw, this is why he said, I wanted to become a doctor, but I'll change, I'll now become a gendarme. Akaya ko Nadia de 20 years mbe soro na jaita bola jan 20 years mfama dindi nemenda ba mar wayal na fo balan tablo kay du garantu waya mera ben soro no la found. Then he went on to tell Bakausu that if you don't mind, I'll lock you up for 20 years from this very minute. So their stepfather who went with him removed his hearth and placed it on the table and pleaded with Yaya Jammeh to forgive them. He went on to tell Bakausu, you will know who I am. Our stepfather pleaded with him. Then later on he said now he has forgiven Bakausu.
And as Yaya Jammeh insulted and ranted on, insulted Bakausu, that is, and ranted, can you tell us where Bakausu was at that particular time and how you saw him?
Fo isa fo no nya kabrim Yaya Jammeh la diamo nyin kono ay Yaya Jammeh aya neng.
Ay ba kausu neng.
Ay ba kausu neng. So fo isa fo no nya ate ba kausu mo tembola ate be min dole dun.
Abe sirin ko be sirin janyame.
Ba kausu was sitting down facing Yaya Jammeh as I am sitting here now.
But ndolni denke na watara ko wata kila.
But we went with the confidence that he will not lock us up.
Because Bakas bira fama be fundlanga to man fon tolmu tal bolten kabalu talo ala to langa mem fo nga menga ngalon ko masata o kela dia molbe ke barota kela.
Because Bakausu, just like his father, is somebody who has means, and when we were leaving to go and attend that meeting, what we did, we know that he will not be able to lock us up.
So burun saida wala nyama.
That's how we went back home after 8 o'clock in the evening.
Birembe fundla wolo kono sorry.
When we were going out of the hall, everybody was shaking hands with the presidents one by one. I was second to last to shake hands with the president. Then I talked to him there. He said he told the president that you don't know Bakausu. Bakausu is helping you, but it is these people who are trying to instigate you against Bakausu. He is somebody who teaches people humility and discipline. And if we have that in this country, enough discipline, then that will be easier for you to rule. He told the president that those people that you have given vehicles, you can even give a vehicle to Bakausu. Then he told me that if I am going to give him a vehicle, tell him to leave me alone. Let him not insult my tribe and let him not insult me. I told him Bakausu doesn't do that. This is how we dispersed on that day.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Mr. Fofana, do you think that was a reasonable question to ask?
What type of question? Counsel.
Yeah?
He's asking what type of question you mean?
Indeed, perhaps I need to phrase my question better. Was that a reasonable request to make?
For a time, canindri Sahara or the Purmoe or can receive a canimba.
Yaya Jammeh to you.
Kaboya Jammeh Caneta.
Sorry, Jamurunka Mama Jamoy.
A coffee I am Romo canindri Sahara or the Purkaboya Jammeh Caneta, Canindro, Yemen Canningabu.
Koya Jambe Amunda.
Let me help the witness here. You said Yaya Jammeh asked that Bakausu should not insult him or the Jola tribe. So was that a reasonable request to make from Bakausu? That's the question.
What you call Bakausu? Yaya Jammeh koyego for Bakausu wada akana neng akana nasio neng. For time Romo kanendiri Sahara on the Cabo Yaya Jammeh kanete yaba.
Andawa for Yaya Jammeh.
Itele of Yaya Jammeh for
Yaya Jammeh.
Yes, it was me who told Yaya Jammeh when I was shaking hands with him. He even there asked me whether you are related to Bakausu. I told him that we are from the same mother and father when I was shaking hands with Yaya Jammeh.
It's not very clear, and you've actually reported, you've actually already said this portion of your narration. The specific question was that whether Yaya Jammeh's request was reasonable or not. I don't know if the interpretation is accurate.
Okay, go.
Akaka menyininka. Yaya Jammeh la foko puru Bakausu kana neng akana la jola siolu neng. Ako fodu mu nyininka sahari moleti ka fo Yaya Jammeh nyanta ite nyininka la walali.
Atelo fonde abula fadi nyola foro wala na koya ko fa ko kana woke nka ko abuko.
Well, when he said that to me, I said this is something that Ablai Fati and others decided to concoct, but Bakausu doesn't insult you. This is what I told Yaya Jammeh.
So you deny the allegations, essentially, that Bakausu was insulting the Jolas and the president?
Amunta ibalanta o tumiro nyina le kafoko Bakausu aka Jola nenne ani aka Yaya Jammeh fana nenne ite balanta o tumiro nyina yemen fama.
No, manso wala itoler ka fasar nyamena because Bakausu ka foni londo la silola.
Well, I don't accept that. I don't agree to that. Because whatever he says it according to the Islamic way. But they decided to say it in a way which is an incitement.
Kon si ose karan sara kula ko la kono wafo bula aleta karan la kono wafo wala mo diamond wafo men gala bula aleta karan la fulo la ko alkuru wafo bula bura ko jola la ko alena dino kam bela kanda dino la.
Bakausu doesn't refer to only one tribe, because even in his preachings he tells the Sarahules that stop selling diamonds and so that you can come to the religion and follow the religion properly. Diamonds has changed your minds. Even the Fullers, he tells them, stop selling your kola nuts and come and follow the Islamic religion properly. Bakausu has ever been like that, but he doesn't say it in an insulting way.
Mr. Fofana, let me ask you some questions on this point.
Mr. Fofana,
do you think, or do you not think, that these were inflammatory remarks to make about people's tribes?
Akufo ila mira loro nyin kuma kan sifal to kafo siol to amang ke kuma kan ne alon ko abe siol nyin abe jusu bola abe kan fandilal
ba kauska fa yamane siol man kan fa to la kawani ya wole kan fa wulina abulay fa dinyo la diamu ya wole kan fa dunne mol.
Well, the way Bakausu says it, well, they didn't make these tribes angry, but it is the way that the Supreme Islamic Council and people like Imam Fati, how they decided to preach it and how they decided to explain it to the people, that's what made the people angry.
You already told us that he made certain remarks to the Jolas, and a Jola man actually got up with a cutlass and tried to attack him.
Ya fo jang ko nunga kuma kan tantam beje me alon ko ya fo Jola alma fo Jola kewdo wulitan wanim fango alafta kaboya kan.
Dama jejo ko ba ko Jola al don bulale na karanla.
According to Ibrahim Ajeju, yes, what was said was that he told the Jolas, stop dancing and come and learn Islam.
Ibrahim Ajeju lo fola meeting lado barama che ko ko en photo nyala bargela Spring Council meeting lado. Ibrahim Ajeju lo ko mo samana je wala ko mo foje ako wala kera burma photo nyala.
I cannot ascertain to it as the truth whether Bakausu said this, but this was narrated by Ibrahim Ajeju at their council meeting where Bakausu was invited.
Mr. Fofana, I understand that your brother Bakausu was trying to preach, or he was actually indeed preaching. But don't you believe that some of the remarks he made to certain tribes would have offended them?
Mr. Fofana, tonya Bakausu mu kawandi lalete ando akakawando lekeno. Bari ila mira roto akakawando Kenya menaka kumulfu nyamin. Ya mira fo kuma kangulu dolute wo mo dolu kamfala bang akefo nyamin.
Alon kawando na manandi amobe.
Well, preaching, some people like it, but some people doesn't like the way some people preach.
Firaona to man na Qur'an ko na kensenget.
The Pharaoh's name didn't come into the Quran just merely like that.
Chila to man na kensenget.
The prophet's name didn't come like that barely into the Quran.
Na Maryam to man na kensenke Qur'an ko.
Our mother Maryam's name didn't come into the Quran merely just like that.
Anin sabe dol to man na kensenke kula kasabu.
Plus other prophets, it is because of a reason that their names were mentioned in the Quran.
Kawando wado do si tofo wado do si telindo wado do si misalo ka sa tuta hakil malbulu.
In preaching, sometimes what you say looks inflammatory to others, and some other people accept it as the truth, and some people accept it really as an Islamic way of doing things. It is left to the people themselves to decide.
And do you believe that in preaching you have a right to make offensive remarks against other tribes?
Akondung kawando okono fodo ila mira roto anyantale puru isi kumakan kolango fo modoli bang sio doli.
Kawando ba?
Nibe kawando la.
Kawando a depend ni sio ndia mo fannatin da sio menna. Misal ni mandin kolele ku sa mandin ko la lin ko bula.
Well, it depends on which tribe does what. Even if it is the Mandinkas, and they are fond of doing something which is not Islamic, you can tell them, well, this thing is not Islamic, you have to stop it. You can say that.
Mr. Fofana, the point I'm trying to get at is that you can preach, you can tell people not to engage in certain activities. But when you go as far as actually targeting a particular tribe and making certain insinuations about their culture, then I believe that would become offensive to that particular tribe.
Mr. Fofana kamem fole mnyinti mosi kawando kenole baribitung kawandinya atutawle bulusa ni sio dobe kering inata kumo dolu fo wo sioma andu yafo ye nyaming anatake kankole ngoti ife itelie wa ufodung ila miroto munana wo sekeno kutile membe kamfandila
no kara kawando ko ngafo kawando buka dia mobe po dobe yesa fo mo hanana fa fa la sekuya no mon kuya fa na ofuna to dia mo kenya albulu.
Yes, well, that really is true, but it depends on how you deliver your words, how you are going to explain that thing to the people. Because preaching, as I said before, well, some people will take it, but some other people will not take it. It depends on the people we are talking to.
And indeed, Mr. Fofana, that is exactly my point. I believe that as an imam, you have a responsibility to foster peace and also tribal harmony amongst the community.
Ako Mr. Fofana kumom nyimu waleti bari kawando ni ba kala tela miroto wolem isafo nyama mensi molu kambendi isafo nyama mensi molu katandi nyola molu senyo faham isaje asidungi sondomoto ngamira kawando nyanta kala wala nyama
baka so molu ma kanu fenna fode ni wata ko ko kuyamole dambe nko molu la fo men gata kala.
Yes, that's what I have been saying. Baka also delivers things in a way that people like. This is why he has a large following. So if there is another way to it, that's left to the people themselves how they took it. But the reason for a large crowd, to have a large following, is how he delivers his sermons. Because even apart from this, Jola tribesmen call Bakausu to go and attend their gamos and other activities. There are even some Mandinkas, his own tribe, who don't like him and who doesn't even invite him to their meetings or their activities. But if you want to please everybody, then you will not tell the truth. So because the reason why I'm saying this, wherever Bakausu goes, people will rush to come and meet him. They like him, this is why they behave like that on him. But because just as a Gambian, if they had hated him, nobody will follow him and they will not even listen to him. Because even in an exam, if you get 60%, you have passed. Much more, you get 90%. Well, in fact, if Bakausu himself comes, he might be able to clarify some points. How things happen, how he says things, and whatever has happened, he himself may be able to clarify some of those things.
And would you agree with maybe it's Bakausu or any other imam that if one steps over the line in terms of provocation of different tribes or even of religious views, then it would be up to the state to interject at that stage and basically put him in line?
Fo ibe sonna nyin melko fo ni Bakausu ay kawando fo tembe daro me alon ko ala fita ko nyi ala kawando nyi nak ala fita ka fitino nyi wulundi fa futa da bank e nyaaton ko la fannala ye nyanto solo man say nyanto solo pour ka dadu ko nyi kono pour ka dimbani ndibon
ni ara la fita fino wulla man say nyanda wulla ko ni ara kawando la fita fino wulindila.
Well, if the preaching is about to cause commotion or create chaos, well, the head of state should get up and do something about it.
But Bakausu no man fitna wulinde banko kan Supreme Council la fita fino wulinda Bakausu ni ya jambete bara mencha ko Bakausu ni la kawndo mo na ko Bakausu la kawndo ko la kawndo ko la fitno ko ya menki.
It is the Supreme Islamic Council who wanted to create a problem between the council or between the people and Bakausu. Bakausu has never had a problem with the community or with a crowd or with a certain religious sect.
But, go ahead.
But it is this Supreme Islamic Council who created all these problems between Bakausu and the head of state.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fofana. We accept your point that the state can interject if imams go over the mark or religious leaders.
Sontela in fanal ka if on sonta nyinal ko ni ko dara fo tembe daro mol fon da mal lafta ko mol lafta sela nyola man sa da bula no ko nyin ko ka ko nyin ta ka tembende so
And in essence, Yaya Jammeh lifted the ban off Bakausu at the end of that particular meeting that day.
Amunta onya kuonyin kabranga umito onyi nara na sorota Yaya Jammeh nara na tongonyin ka bondi ya Supreme Islamic Council tongomel la Bakausu kan Yaya Jammeh nara na tongonyin bondi le.
After hearing from all the people who spoke on that day,
biringa la moiro ke karo fulol be la mol media mendia on the Bakausu la karola ani Supreme Islamic Council la karola.
You said that he actually insulted Bakausu.
And
then he made the proposal that actually the Supreme Islamic Council was now out of it and that he would be the one who would deal directly with Bakausu.
Anarana mira ko silang Supreme Islamic Council ay dabo ndi konyi ay dabo konyi kono sila ata fangol be konyi tala.
He also said that he would be monitoring preachings or recordings of preachings of Bakausu and that he would take action if anything was done that was out of line.
And another na nyimfo sign ata fangol be kuson sindro nyin kela ata fangol be Bakausu kuson sonna ala kawandol nyim kono ala kasetol nyin kono membe be topoto la be kuson sonna la jube ning Bakausu ko ku foje be alon ko anin silo nyim manta fodal silo fe aba tilenda silo la.
And it was on that basis that the meeting was concluded and it ended.
And can
you tell us what happened after the meeting? How did Bakausu carry on with his activities?
Okay, Birimboraje, Asamo, what be more journalists or Kotunala Sokono, journalists or Jama?
Well, after the meeting, when we left, we went home. But after all that, journalists started coming one after the other many times into the compound.
Yo, dol nata fo Bakausu ni journalists will not take an African lemode kane idankuma kana kuma foye.
Well, someone came to Bakausu and told him that journalists are hypocrites. If they come here and wanted to question you, don't talk to them.
Bakausu nata fo ko journalist man kan nafikri because membe mabore ko wolel ko ende pour dunia salon yela nyanto so ko journalist am do ko han kila fa kibar talal sotol.
He told them that I don't agree with what you say. You cannot call journalists hypocrites because they disseminate the information which should reach the people. Even the Prophet himself has people who disseminate his information.
Baisike kibar kendat kendo talati moy memfo so fa memfo kana wala fa.
What is important is be a credible journalist. Tell the people what is the truth, what has really happened, but don't concoct lies and try to tell those lies to the people.
Mo follow men that were Standard News and News Foroya.
The first media people who came there are from the Standard and Foroya.
And Independent.
Later on, the Independent newspaper also sent people.
But Standard News la
But I can remember his meeting with the Standard people happened in my presence. What he told them was that my stance yesterday is the same stance today. What I was doing yesterday is the same thing that I'm doing today. I don't change. He in fact told them that same day that if we see the moon, we will pray. But if we don't see the moon, we will not pray. And after all that, the oncoming Eid, which happened to be Tobaski, the same thing happened. People didn't pray together. We were there a few months later.
Can I just ask you, on the point of the Eid, on that particular occasion, do you remember the date that the Supreme Islamic Council announced?
For hakilo samurano Supreme Islamic Council was sangola ye lunjumalel kankula ko molnyanda sallaw lungol.
No hakilo momudan.
No, I cannot remember the dates exactly.
Did your brother Bakausu Fofana pray on the date that was announced by the Supreme Islamic Council?
For Ikoroma Bakausu Fofana for I salta lungol laban Supreme Islamic Council lungomen kankula.
Bakausu bokasali la kankula rol.
Bakausu doesn't pray according to their announcements.
Foni na jero ni la jero benta.
Except that we sighted the moon, which coincides with their sighting.
Thank you very much. And essentially, nothing changed after the meeting between the president and the Supreme Islamic Council and Bakau. So in terms of his religious views, he continued as he was doing.
Munta femmang faling meeting on kola Bakau la meeting kola ni Supreme Islamic Council ni ya jamal meeting kola meeting mensura femmang faling tela miro ro atela ta menda femmang faling jata tententa kala kol ke atela ta menda
tendenda kawandola kaya maroka ka fatandro ka tonya fo ka dalta la nyami.
Yes, he went on doing the same thing. He went on with his preaching, he continued his teachings, and he continued doing things as he was doing it before.
One
thing, we decided to talk to him about that, let him stop that, however difficult it may be to him.
Because
that is to name tribes, because if you talk about Mandinkas or you talk about Fulas or Wolofs or any other tribe, people will begin saying again, you see, he is now insulting the tribes again, even if he didn't use insulting words.
So you just asked him to avoid using the tribe card.
Because ko niata nyulbe dia mo bulemba nate bo kawnda ka fo nyamen kawni dlato ita marani te mo se boka kamfa bari tol kata ko yelma ndini nyama wala ka kamfa samana.
That is because we realize that what he says is not offensive, but it is because of those people who will go and narrate it in another way, which becomes inflammatory to those people he has mentioned. So this is why we decided to tell him to stop calling tribes. Because even if he says it nicely, but the enemies will go and say it in another way, which becomes very to those he talked about.
And Mr. Fofana, you've already explained that Bakausu prayed on a different date, or perhaps the following day, from the date that was announced by the Supreme Islamic Council. Do you know if he was ever arrested for praying on a day that was different as that announced by the Supreme Islamic Council?
Bakausu Fofana te kasali lunna le me alon ko afansu lunga la ate afansu lunga mento waranto lunna me alon ko ni Supreme Islamic Council bi kankula bi ate kasali o samolla fo ila londoro fo nana ka ya kalam dala ba nana salile me alon ko ate salte ron salirin kola natana ya muta ya samba alaw saloka
no Bakausu buka sala afansu sallat ala man fo kila man fo men je kitabo kono nyo wali okang nin na salo nin kansulo la salo benda akake nana membe abukaki.
No, no, I can say that Bakausu doesn't pray just because of himself. He follows the norm that has been the old way. If the prayer day coincides with the day that the Supreme Islamic Council announced, he prays with them. But if it happens that they didn't sight the moon or he didn't sight the moon, that's what brings the difference.
Mr. Fofana, that point is quite clear. My question was whether you had, Bakausu rather, had been arrested for praying on a different date than that announced by the Supreme Islamic Council. Mr. Interpreter, please kindly and before you start. Otherwise, our speeches just keep overlapping. Thank you.
Ako, abe menyining kakangole mnyintiko. Bakausu foi nenenata mutale bang ka fo aning Supreme Islamic Council man sali nyola lunkiling akawo dinkirale nyinen ka fo nene soton tale foi nene ya muta wala le bang.
Yes, namana salola kola de buto o man foni sando bar 18 May 2012 inara arrest sokono sankeba sule jowo e ma traje.
Well, salola kola moti bamfo.
O ara mantra sal programo fankon.
Well, the arrest I can remember was on 2012 18th May, but that day it was not about Eid prayers. It was something else that they came for him, but it was not about Eid prayers.
Yes, Mr. Fofana, I am aware of that particular arrest, but what I was referring to was the Eid prayers, whether he had been arrested in connection to that.
No, they've never arrested him because of Eid prayers.
Okay, thank you very much. And before we move on to the arrest that you just mentioned, I would like to show an excerpt of the video. Ovivan, can you please play the portion of the video so that the witness can identify.
Sila be left at ala arrest la Carola. Sila baval o vivan ko le ni video do play bang. Pour nga jumbe.
Fekene dañ janga alquran.
Na tara nga alquran o karam.
Xam li fa nek.
Nga lo mendi je.
Yow lu ñepp ne loolu lañ bëgg yow nga ne do ko.
Mo be ta fa laftani ne da ma ya fani laftani ne la.
Si sa wax di.
Akala kumo kamoto jang.
Confirm na li ñu la wax li na tuma.
Nga yo a jeko ye nem fo jang ye tumile bara manke ko yafo. Ha?
Ila kabiri be kumo fo kan ne.
Ha.
Ye kumo fo ja melon ko. Ñini ye men fo ani membe kaseto do wok be ya toñandi.
Ako me comme biriye kumo fo membe kaseto ko na ni ye men sate la ko to. Amunta ko ita fango ye be toñandi la kumo to le.
Bi nga waxee ne
biri ko
bi ñoo wax affaire yi weeri koor
biri be sunkar ko fola
ak affaire yi julli
anin saliwato
waaw yow waxuñ la
ima fo
Supreme Islamic Council ñoo decide rek
Supreme Islamic Council akol landi o nyama
miti ñew wax la ko
mol nata foye
leji wax ma yow ban autorité nga am fi ci Gambia
ban ay tandi te do ko sembe jumale soto ja wala landir nya jumale soto ñi banko kanja
ban autorité nga wut fi
yemu man sa yalla ñi ni njang
amulo ben autorité
ite man
du si diine du si leneen am loo benn autorité
amanke diino kono te amanke kudoti sembe o sembe te bulu jam fayda
official authority Supreme Islamic Council ñoko
am sembo men dita man sala karola man sakunda la karola wala mu Supreme Islamic Council le wala ya sembo soto
yow yaay kan be suñu waré def any decision ñu contact
ite le mu jumaati na tara be decision o tala pour ñante te contact la
fan nga jangé
ya karaminto
fo xamne Supreme Islamic Council jangé wuñ fa yow lan
lan
lu es lan nga janga lan la yalla won lo xamne mo opal li yalla won ñi la jitu te jangal
ite mu ne karam men siata ñu le men karam waran ala so mu londele la men tam bita ñu la londo la ñu lu be men yete karandi
nek lo si ben dega
ako nga itandi lay man tara to ñaka
te nga yow am nga fit
ako ite ko ye jiso
nga tollu sa boba ansu machine
ye fan tembendi ansu machine na kanna sor lala
be para nga ñowe fi ñeme lo wax li nga waxon ci cassette
ina ta jang ye même fo cassette to man ha nya fo la jang
ma nga me cassette yi
aka cassette be sotole
waaye man duma la toppa ci sa wax
te te normal la kuma kangoto
lolu taw ma gis jox la audience
o ma tinna fana e commande pour ani yesi
te li ma la buga moy
ala tam même folé wala mu ñinti
ma neexal ken
ate mo nene la ate mo ma nene la wala mo nene ro
du man neexal ken
akate mo ma nene la
affaire dina
kuoto
fitna ku ko bu ekati
fitna mo la tawulindi la
billahi wala taala lima lo lay def te ken
Ovivan, I think we've had enough. Ovivan, we've watched enough. You can put it off now. Thank you very much. Mr. Fofana, have you had a chance to look at the video that was just played?
Mr. Fofana, I heard you tell about the video in Kajube.
Yes, I've seen it.
Are you able to identify Bakausu Fofana in that video?
In video in Konoje, Eva Bakausu Yabonino is a suite more Konojelaba.
Me bakre fakir wata filda ma haninga bulu kono le jambo sudela sakanyada.
Yes, I will never be able to I will always recognize Bakausu wherever I see him. We are from the same mother and father.
Yeah, please just answer the question and tell us if you're able to identify him in the video or not.
Yes, I recognized him.
And who was he? Just describe what he was wearing, perhaps.
He was the man with the tall hat, and his shirt in front was embroidered.
In gold material?
Yes, it was in gold color.
Ovivan, can you just play the video again, just a small segment showing Imam Bakausu, so that he can identify him directly? and point to him.
Ni ajenga Supreme Islamic Council kumandi mambo akalama.
Binga saleta binga binda.
Biri letter o safena.
Wah binga wadi mataga.
Ye kumo men fo yentento.
Nama don re.
Akom bes jelol la.
Parce que so degle cassette linga wa sisa hutbay.
Ye cassette o men fo kutuboto.
Magis letter bi.
Ngana letter oje.
Ma fone lena ñaari yef mo ñoo ci man.
Ako kufula lena tante kan.
Ayda da nga dof.
Foy man kende ya.
O da nga fone man dama dof.
Waraite amirante tawali on man kende ante president.
Ken du man hade.
Ako mota ne la.
Ya ñam boka yo xamne.
Ako ye badi ngol soto min ya.
Mr. Fofana, is that back also?
Yellow lam.
Yes. He is
Thank
my
you very
brother.
much.
Yes, I recognize that. Akoy Numbara.
And is this the meeting held at State House that you were referring to earlier?
Nina bengoti elements of State House ikamenda kumofu command.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we would like to tender the video into evidence as Exhibit 115.
Kabe daniro la kiaman buru nyim video nyin kala fe la sere jaro kan.
Request granted.
Kiaman kay ngatale.
And just to let you know, Mr. Chairman, that this is a 3-hour video. It's a long video, and thereafter we would allow the members of the commission to view it in their own time.
Kame for commission kiaman wala mnyendo nyim video nyim vana mu mondro wadi saba video lati. Andu nyaro sini be wado di la commission na la pour yesi ya jube ning ajareda.
Understood.
Mr. Fofana, can we proceed?
Mr. Fofana, sitenten no leba.
You mentioned the arrest and detention of Bakausu.
Yeah, afojanko Bakausu la mutu ani ya sindi dula killing ye.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the date was in sometime in May 2012.
Until the ban nimfili da ngamera iko May karo kono
2018.
2018.
Atra jani kana arrest in 2018.
Before they came to arrest him.
Just hold on, Mr. Fofana. Let's just verify the information. It cannot be 2018.
But can be 2018 sound.
Sorry, 2012, 18 May.
It was 2012, 18th of May.
Thank you very much. Yes, I did think that was the date. Kindly just tell us how events unfolded on that day.
Afanye kuola ta nyoka nyadi le ulungola.
Okay, well, January, kana arrest Aramiso mena January Aramiso 2012.
Before they came to arrest him, it was on a Thursday. Before they came to arrest him on a Thursday,
May 12 or 13.
May 12th or 13th.
Ndafanga telephone singa Abdullah Fati telephone.
I personally took the telephone and called Abdullah Fati.
Around 11 o'clock, talantan ninkile wato ntalaja.
Around 11 a.m. Uraro for
so manda 11
a.m.
Ngata Abdullah Fati nga telephone.
I called Abdullah Fati.
Ngako atolel be marlen dino la banko kanja.
I told him, you people are responsible for Islamic religion in this country.
Ba atolen council
because you are the people at the council.
Ngata Abdullah tafante kala kawando la mobile jumala state house kawando kala moy back.
I told him I always listen to your Friday preachings at State House Mosque.
And ila kawandi tomalo.
And the other preachings that you do.
Nga Chebu Cham fana aka kawandi radio station on mol kala kawando la moy back.
Chebu Cham also preaches at radio station. I also listen to that.
Nga Bakaus fana mol kala moy back.
But Bakaus also people listen to him.
Barato keta mo sabata na patio kera sa isini be kachado da isi do bete jelaila dolbe kebu jelaila dolbe njaya.
So it has now become 3 parties. So some people criticize you, some people criticize Chebu, and some people criticize Bakaus.
Femma sa fodino la nyowalia.
It was because of the dispute or the disagreement within the religion.
Nga Chebu Cham na kawanda ko kamo haram da kamo mandela be al men ka faje ninge do ko subo haram da kamo manda.
Chebu Cham used to say that Gamo is haram, and the sheep or goats that are slaughtered and are consumed at Gamos is haram meat. Is not clean meat.
And after
the prayers, the dua that we do, that Salatul al-Nabi, to pray on behalf of the Prophet, Chebu Cham and his colleagues condemned it.
Because
I see you, Imam, yourself, you go and attend Yahya Jammeh's Gamos And you do the same thing there. You do this Salatul ala Nabi, the prayer that they do for the Prophet. Likewise, others who perform it. Now, if you condemn that, and you do it, and you people come and do it again, we will be confused.
Are you saying that the Supreme Islamic Council was basically practicing activities that they themselves had condemned?
For a cover go, after cover Supreme Islamic Council found. Ika kulle ke me alon ko ndu yo idol fon yo ko woni ya e bangala re man soto.
No council o mambalanka mola anin fonko comme bankola dina bulu jamal be na banko kan sai.
No, it's not the whole council which has condemned these things. We have a lot of sects, Islamic sects or religious sects in this country.
Wo chebu chamunyo wala tara wala conference leke e boka so ngamola alfa ko conference nen kam mo different beje.
It is Chebu Cham and his group who condemn Gamo, and some elders attend these Gamos. Now, what is the difference? They do their meetings during daytime, and other people they do their Gamos at night. And because of the time, some people don't have time for daytime, some people have time only for the night. So now what is the difference?
And these elders who attend these activities, are they part of the Supreme Islamic Council?
Alpha men kata mabe nyimbengol to fo ifana be Islamic Council la ka fo kono la ba.
Alpha Jumal
men kata nyingamol.
Oh Alpha comme ça yen sa dolon kol men be da wol kamola miro ka mo ne council be bo mira kelen tole.
Well, as for elders living in the provinces, they have the same thinking with some members of the Supreme Islamic Council.
Because
some council members go and attend people's gamos.
Abulai
Fati and the President Moudlamin Toure, sometimes they go and attend people's gamos.
Mr. Fofana, I'm just trying to understand you here. I had asked you the question whether or not the Supreme Islamic Council perhaps banned gamos, and yet they were attending gamos or approving other gamos.
Islamic Council itol fangol silam e gamo fo ya bande ba non sai narana banero ki gamo la sai itol fangol wato do gamol ma gamodol mabe fo lafta ko wala ko
no gamo namna wala ban ko fa namna ban man kamo ban.
No. They themselves at the Supreme Islamic Council never banned gamos.
I'm trying to understand why you were having that conversation with Ablai Fati. And he was a member of the Supreme Islamic Council. Help me understand.
Iko etening Abdullah Fadi ya kumandela ina yin kuma kan kacha.
Okay, na kacha ta men na wala mon kay ko. Al sidia mo dino nka chebu chamo ko kamo men betia. Ito la tara nka ko sai alta fere kala kuma fo mala ko kinya ko afon la dala foro. Ako chebu man karang.
Well, the reason I called Abdullah Fati was that as a member of the Supreme Islamic Council, they attend gamos. And Chebu Cham is now condemning gamos. So this is what I don't understand. So this is why I told him to remind other members of the council to do something about it. But what Imam Fadi told me that day about Chebu Cham was that Chebu Cham doesn't know anything.
So you're saying that you were asking Allah Fati to intervene and stop Chebu Cham from basically prohibiting gamas?
Amunda ko ilafta la puru Imam Fati aya dadun ko nyin kono mem Chebu Cham la ko de isaje ke ay diam Chebu Cham ya bula ka dadun molla ku kolto dino la ko mol ke la ko ke nyame
nga fa yina kam puru ko ngo ko endri ke molba din dol ko kamo membe da do ko gamo be da sa mo yanta mun ke la bi ko tol mo supportal le tol ben tol nyan dol ko bule tol nyan sa be ke la nyadi.
Yes, the reason for all this was that I wanted them to clarify because they themselves attend gamos. But why is Chebu Cham now standing and condemning gamos? So this is what I want to know. And people like himself, the witness, they believe in gamos, they attend gamos. So this is why they want to know what is what.
akonye chebu mankara kane dankala akonye ko mbita ne mare no tan be baro mbata folo banna radio diamol kala ko molbe ma ko mankaran ne anda bano fala da bar mbita ne ma wala tonkon.
Because what Imam Fati told me that they also was, Chebu is my in-law. He is the first person we should have banned, but he is my in-law. What he's saying is quite different from the truth. And he is not a learned person. He doesn't know anything. Including others like Omar Jite. They talk over the radio, they just talk and shout, but they don't know anything.
And Mr. Fofana, are you trying to say that there was some sort of uneven-handedness, perhaps in the way that the Supreme Islamic Council would normally lay down their rules and regulations?
Amunta ila kumwenye itandiko tilimbali abe kolu konole Supreme Islamic Council ka kolu tamandi nyami isonta doli kumenke kabalan doli lela so fo abe wonyale bang.
Janko beja because ba ko chebu ko bitan na modo menna ni bitan tare ba banale so ba ko sumen ke bitanti wala dina yakula o kan kani masa dunya la hanata tonyati.
Yes, this is how I saw things, because he said Chebu Cham is his in-law, but they never banned him, and he said Chebu is the first person they should have banned. Now they didn't ban him, and they know that he is saying things which are not correct, but they decided to take action against Kausu for doing the same things. So this is why I said that there is no even-handedness.
Thank you, Mr. Fofana. Mr. Fofana, I would just like to perhaps repeat some of the rules that we went through before we came here, because I have noticed that on quite a few occasions, when I do ask you a particular question, you tend to digress, and I know that this is something that perhaps you want to discuss, but my question was whether for us to go ahead and discuss the arrest and detention of Bakausu. Sorry, Mr. Interpreter.
Comme fo wala nyindi ko ayaje alaftala pour ngamuru ko ma demanding sartol la ay même fo enu ila diamo nyi vision ko membe tangala andun kado ayaje ila sede andun vision ko waro do na nyini karo bindo be ninga e nyini ka ikala fle ka pour ka dulani ka dulani kono fanundi.
We don't want to restrict what you're going to say, but we only have one more session left, and there are so many things that we need to discuss.
Malafika ka bandambili nyaro kela ko nyi diamo nyi fengeka par sante abedamento fanna killing wol be ngulu pour nganda dia ngasio nyi ngakumfa.
In fact, the most important elements of your testimony we've still not heard it.
Ela you said andiro nyi men kumara be akono famfanke fam mo follow.
And my role here is just really to guide you and help you so that you will be able to deliver your testimony in the best way possible, and so that we can actually hear the important bits and pieces. So kindly help me to lead you so that answer my questions directly when I ask you, and don't answer questions that you have not been asked.
So mbele flake yende ma nyinyi kame na yejabiro ke nyinyi karo la nyinyi karo nyate kanyame ikana nyinyi karo samba nyala myalon ko among nyinyi karo nyama.
Thank you very much.
Abarakabake.
I hope you understand.
Jikira nyina ya fahamle mlafta ngame ko.
Ngaje family arasi nar na Kenya menyama fonga jar no silola wala nangen lot of.
Yes, I understand. The reason why I stated this is how he was arrested.
Because Brina Jamoto siloto akonyo ko barba ko so ngaste pleta ko mo wota be stop aside.
Thank you very much. Perhaps also what you could do is just wait a little bit after I ask my questions, about 3 seconds before you respond.
Yeah, nyininga jande be jabiro gele be akoy sila moy minute second dandang second sabanyol sifalo jande be jabiro gele no de diamol be sele nyokan.
Okay.
And in fact, we have come to the end of the second session. So when we come back, we will deal with the arrest and detention of Bakausu. And I'm sure you will help me and be brief so that we can cover that. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I hand over the witness to you, or perhaps, we've come to the end of our second session, and it's time for the break.
Thank you, Council, and thank you, Mr. Fofana. We will take 1 hour break and come back sharp to 2:30. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Mind